Hello folks. As of now, we've spent a sizable chunk of our Best to the Most West tour in the Pacific Northwest now. It's a diverse area full of cities, towns, national parks, forests, groves, natural elements. But if you ever wanted to know what was and is the largest city, look no further. We have made it here today. This is Washington's largest city, but it's also the Pacific Northwest's largest city. It's got a history that stands out from the rest of the crowd here in the Pacific Northwest. It's a good story to tell today. I'm excited to be here. We start our day at Gasworks Park, and I guess this is a place which shows that it's evident that lots of people settled here, lots of industry happened here. Old and rusty cylindrical silos and tall buildings, or what's left of this area that used to be a hotspot, I guess, of some gas or chemical plant. Not only can you have a relaxing day, but it's a great point at which you can locate all of Seattle's surroundings. You can see the downtown up there, but it's not too far removed from nature here in this city. Where are we? Which city have we gone to today? Well, this is the famous Seattle, Washington, the Emerald City. Oh yeah, the waters, which are technically part of that great Puget Sound, as we talked about yesterday in Olympia, still teeming with life. Houses on the other side, people taking advantage of the day to go boating, paddling. It's a beautiful day in Seattle, and the day has only just begun. So not only is the city behind us, got a lot of people in it, about 740,000 in the city, almost 4 million in the metro. It's also got a lot to contribute to the greater American cultural legacy. So, you guys ready to explore Seattle? Well, we've now arrived in the downtown area of Seattle. More specifically, we've landed here at Pioneer Square. This is the first part of the downtown to be built. Call it a historic downtown, if you will. And oh boy, is there a lot to history. This might be one of my favorite historic downtowns, at the very least in the Pacific Northwest, if not, maybe even the whole West. Oh, I see.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Like, honestly, take notice of the beauty of this urban pattern of streets. If you disregard the construction, it's actually a very, very beautiful downtown that's very preserved. Yeah, tucked away behind all the towering skyscrapers of the real business sector of the downtown, Pioneer Square pays respect to the olden days of Seattle's history. Yeah, it seems like this district really likes to pay respect to the olden days of Seattle, back when everything was made of these old stone and brick buildings. That, and you'll see plenty of neon signs for the old shops of the 20th century. Yeah, there's plenty of old brick buildings to go around. Brick being the sign, you know you're in a historic district. Who knows what the shops back then over 100, 150 years ago would have been like, but at least the architecture and the facade of the exterior of these streets is very well kept and maintained. You know, I'm trying to set the scene for you guys about as we walk through this downtown, it's easy to really get a true understanding of the history around this place. It's bleeding, it's oozing with history. The history of Seattle as we know it begins with the Duwamish people, and it used to be a pristine community right along one of the inlets of the Great Salish Sea, Puget Sound area. Of course, we know the history of America. Settlers come in from the east or the Pacific Ocean, depending on, who they are, what country they belong to. And originally the big industry was fur trading, as anything was in the Pacific Northwest. Fur was king. But as people started settling permanently, not just like a little outpost or a colony, but real settlement, a big logging industry. Timber was abundant around this area, and so just like a lot of these Pacific Northwestern cities, timber was also a big thing. But what sets Seattle apart from its neighbors in the Pacific Northwest is what happened quite a few hundred miles north of this area, in the Klondike region of the Yukon, way far up in the icebox of Canada. Gold was discovered. Much like the California Gold Rush, the Klondike Gold Rush attracted quite a lot of people searching for gold, trying to test their luck and see if they could make it rich with what was hidden among the natural depths of the vast frontier up north. And given that the settlement of what today is Seattle was nestled safely within the waters of the Puget Sound, and the fact that Washington State is the closest point to the Yukon, to Alaska, to that northern region of the North American continent, it was only a matter of time before people came to Seattle en masse and truly set this place up as a commercial port city. So as people were trying to go up north towards the Yukon, towards the Klondike region, this was a big stop for commercial trading and shipbuilding. People who were going up north, they needed to stop by in Seattle in order to make sure their journey was as successful as possible. Round and round the wheel spins. In reality, these people weren't having fun spinning a wheel, testing their luck. They were out in the cold, freezing weather. Yeah, not so great conditions. Hey, I found some gold. We didn't strike it rich, but that was for the very slim majority as represented by this wheel. Most of the people, their risk did not pay out. Now, although this is not our last stop on our tour, for the hopeful prospectors seeking gold up in the Klondike, here on the contiguous US, this was the last stop, so the people here had better get prepared, buy their supplies, make sure they were all set for the long journey and arduous task of collecting gold in the Klondike. No, I'm no historian, neither am I a local. So I don't have all the information that I could read like the back of my hand. However, I can recommend the next best thing. The Seattle Klondike National Historical Park, just on that corner. Can you immerse yourself in the world of what happened during those years of the Klondike Gold Rush, which really transformed this city from like a little outpost settlement to a thriving city? Seattle clock. Ordinary hot dog? No. This is a hot dog done Seattle style. The Seattle dog is an interesting version of the standard hot dog you can get anywhere, because it's got not only cream cheese, but a lot of vegetables. Guess we better try it, as anything we try. I'm not even joking, best hot dog I've ever had in my life. Truly. I think it's due to the medley of all these wild ingredients that normally would not go together, but in a hot dog, it's amazing. Well, we're walking through Pike's Place Market. It's one of the most famous attractions in Seattle. It's one of those must visits if you're visiting the Emerald City. As you could tell, it's a whole maze full of all these shops of not just food and grocery, but also, you know, wares and trinkets on the lower floors. Oh, sick, a wall full of gum. Goes on for some time. Oh, this is amazing. I guess when you come here to Pike's Place Market, you could feel free to add yours to the collection. Honestly, who knows how old or fresh these are, straight out of one's mouth. I believe that's the original Starbucks. It's a national coffee chain now, but it all started here in Seattle. Okay, so we've hit the waterfront here in Seattle. And what do you expect? Just like every other waterfront in America. It's full of shops, restaurants, and tour companies. Quite a lot of tourism on the water. People like the water. It's a very pleasant sight, pleasant views. And it's a great place to settle down, I guess. So, go figure, people love it here. Seattle's favorite place to veg out, have a good time. All these cruise ships, lots of boats, docked on shore, ready to take a group of eager package tourists across the Puget Sound. That's right. Beautiful blue waters out here. Yeah, this will all drain to the Pacific Ocean eventually through the Salish Sea, but we're at such a small part of it that it's really only a very narrow strip. You could see land over there, and that's still Washington. And in the distance, lots and lots of evergreen trees. Yeah, a dark, verdant hue all the way over there, all around us. If these skyscrapers weren't here, well, we'd see a lot more green than we see right now. It's for the green of the trees and the shiny waters of the Puget Sound that we get the name Emerald City. That's what Seattle's known as. It's for the beautiful surroundings of nature that we find ourselves in. I actually like the nickname Emerald City. It's unique. You know what else is pretty unique about Seattle, Washington? It's one of two cities that lies on an isthmus. Yeah, and the other one we saw last September. Madison, Wisconsin is another isthmus city. What is an isthmus? It's a narrow strip of land between two water bodies. This is the Puget Sound. On the other side of this isthmus, I know, weird word, is Lake Washington. You know, I don't want to get up into the semantics of word order. Where you put lake in the name of a lake doesn't make sense. Sometimes it's like this, sometimes it's this lake. Some of these things we'll just never understand. As you can tell from this pier behind us, the sun is beginning to set along the Puget Sound. It's getting a bit late. I started a bit late today, but we still have plenty more daylight to cover one last thing in Seattle. And this may just be the most iconic location within the whole city. This is the landmark of the city. Yeah, it's a big deal. Let's go check it out. In 1962, the World's Fair, the internationally known festival exposition, was held in Seattle. Yeah, if you guys remember back in Knoxville, Tennessee, there was another tower built for a different World's Fair sometime in the early 80s, and it had a tower with like a golden globe on top. Well, 20 years before that tower was built, this Space Needle was built for Seattle's World Fair. Ever since, the Seattle Space Needle has become an inseparable landmark from Seattle. We saw all those skyscrapers, all these restaurants, shops, even the big Ferris wheel that was on the water side, but no landmark is as iconic to Seattle as this tower right here. If you can see, there's trolleys that are bringing tourists up and down, up and down. Now, if you want to pay $40 for something like that, be my guest, but valet parking, the only option for parking really within the whole area, was almost $20. So I think I'm gonna call it a day right here on the ground, looking at this incredible sight. Today in time, Seattle, Washington is known for quite a lot. For one, it's kind of like a little exclave of Silicon Valley where Microsoft and Amazon, big technology companies, have taken home here. I'm also a really big fan of learning about the different genres of music, and Seattle, Washington is very special in that regard because in the early 90s, a new subgenre of music in the alternative scene, the underground rock scene, came up from the underground to the surface. It was called grunge music, or colloquially, it was known as Seattle Sound. Bands like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and Soundgarden hailed from Seattle, and they brought this genre of music that they had such passion for to the world, and it really put Seattle on the map. Do you think the gloomy, depressing sound of grunge music was inspired in any way by the gloomy, rainy, overcast weather that usually strikes Seattle? I mean, we're very, very lucky. It's not supposed to be sunny like this all day. It's supposed to be dismal and depressing here. But yeah, that's grunge music for you. coming from Seattle, birthed and raised. Chief Seattle was an important leader of the Suquamish and Duwamish tribes. Who knew that his name would be memorialized in today's Seattle? Well, actually, that's not exactly his name. His name was very much anglicized by us English speakers in America. His name was more like Siach, but I guess Seattle's close enough for us modern day English speakers. Yeah, this is the Seattle Space Needle. Iconic landmark and our final destination here in Seattle today. I am very, very tired. It is getting very late. I'm surprised the sun is still out. Can you believe it? We're like 49, 48 degrees north latitude, and in the winter, it gets dark really early, but in the summer, it's the complete opposite. It stays light until maybe 9 p.m., and it's not even the summer solstice where it's the maximum amount of daylight. We're just in the middle to the end of May. We still got a month more of increasing amount of daylight. I don't know, things like that really interest me. So yeah, thus ends our day in Seattle, Washington, the Emerald City, an iconic destination of the Pacific Northwest. So I'm gonna bid you guys adieu here in Seattle. We're really approaching our last few legs of the Best of the Most West tour, and now we're going eastward. So as we trend east, as it gets drier and drier and drier into the vast interior of the American continent for a final few destinations, I wish you all the best of enthusiasm and excitement as we discover these final few areas. So with that said, in front of the iconic Seattle Space Needle, more travels to come. I will see you at the next location.